How's it going, everybody? Raggroth here. So today we are going to talk about the Doomslayer. More importantly, exactly why he's had bad luck making in recent fighting games lately, and then possibly maybe what he could maybe appear in the future. Why the Doomslayer exactly? Well, first of all, I mean, his game basically kicked off the FPS genre, and he is still really relevant today. I mean, his new game, or also Doom Guy, could also call him, because that's what he kind of first was known as. His new game, Doom Eternal, came out just last year, at least the last year of me recording this. He's been more requested to appear in things more than ever, compared to back when, the old days of, Doom 1 and 2. And the two main games I guess I'm going to be focusing on for this first section are mainly Mortal Kombat 11 and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The main reason these two are, I think, these are the two games that I think he's had kind of a presence with, people requesting, of developers talking about him being in the game. I mean, sure, we can scoff over, Tekken 7 and, Soul Calibur 6, for instance. I mean, Tekken 7 had pretty random guests, so in all honesty, I think I even made a joke about this, watch after all this, Tekken 7 is the one that gets him, but, that didn't happen, of course. Soul Calibur 6 he technically could have worked in. And I know Soul Calibur 6 always cross promotes, and that could have still been cross promoting Doom Eternal. I'm guessing the reason for this is because it's he definitely has a more sci-fi theme. And yeah, sure, I know Doom Eternal lore and stuff. And there are even some costumes that would fit more in Soul Calibur 6. It wouldn't be the default kind of standard Praetor suit you see. And sure, yeah, we did get kind of a sci-fi guess with 2B, but 2B is kind of that weird middle ground where it's yeah, she's from this thing that deals with sci-fi in the future and all that, but her appearance could still suggest that of kind of more in that time period. I'm going to talk about why he didn't get in, or why he possibly didn't get in from kind of the internal, kind of in-game reasons, and I guess for external, more marketing reasons and things like that. So we'll talk about Mortal Kombat 11 first, just because I think that was kind of the last one that that was the one that kind of first ended its DLC. So with Mortal Kombat 11, I think internally, I don't really think there was any problems, at least that I can think of, that would have held the Doomslayer back from being in the game. I mean, if anything, maybe just because MK11 isn't really, it's a more grounded game. Doomslayer, especially in Doom Eternal, is kind of all over the place, doing all these swinging from things, just jumping around, dashing all over the place. But, I mean, that didn't stop someone that's, pretty powerful and pretty agile, like Spawn, from getting in. So I don't think it would have stopped Doomslayer either. He honestly was perfect for Mortal Kombat 11, just in terms of, the level of violence, he does in the games and all that, his background, his history with video games, and, I mean, both Doom and Mortal Kombat kind of created the ESRB. I think him not getting in Mortal Kombat 11 was more for external reasons. Mainly due to the fact, well, first of all, it just doesn't seem like they ever want to do video game guest characters. The only one that was really ever a guest character from a video game was in Mortal Kombat 9 with Kratos. But I think it was just because it's they wanted a Sony exclusive, and Kratos is was, at least at the time, PlayStation guy, and he also happened to be, from a pretty violent game series. And I think they were trying to get Xbox an exclusive, but I think it just didn't work out or something. They just seem more focused on movie and comic guests as opposed to video games. I don't know why. I feel like it's a WB thing, if anything. And it's I mean, Doom Eternal came out after MK11 came out, so it would have been great cross-promotion. So I really think that's just the case. They just don't want video game guests. At least, not yet. I think it doesn't help that he was requested, but he wasn't the tippy top of requests. The main characters I feel like I saw requested were, of course, Spawn, Michael Myers, Ash Williams, Pinhead, Terminator, I guess Joker. RoboCop and Rambo were kind of the ones that got in that were a little more left field, I would say. Not that I'm complaining about them. There was another kind of in-game reason that I have heard people bring up, but I don't really think it's a great one, that Doomslayer doesn't really talk. However, this shouldn't really matter because
all of the MKX guest characters could not talk. And what they did for this is they would have, instead of it being kind of like character says something, the other character says something, and the first character says something again, it would just be the one character says something, then the other character says something, and then the round starts. So they'd probably just do that with Doomslayer. Alternatively, and this would be kind of cool, I don't know if they would do this, if he was in, for his intros, they could have either Vega, I forget, the computer voice, or even cooler, I think, Samuel Hayden actually speak for the Doomslayer. That would actually be cool. And that's only, kind of, I guess, sort of how, like, Farah sort of spoke for Tor and MKX, kind of like that. Yeah, they could. I don't really think that should be an issue. It's not really, especially because it's not like he'd be in the story mode anyway. Okay, now with Smash Ultimate, I feel like the reasons are kind of the opposite. As in, well, to be in Smash Bros, you have to be a video game character, so that was in his favor this time. He definitely, Smash Bros is a lot more open, there's a lot more kind of platforming, and I think that, of course, was, one thing he had going for him in terms of Smash Bros that I think would have been better for him in that than Mortal Kombat. And I definitely heard more requests for him. Here's the problem, though. I think he had a lot more competition. Because Smash Bros is it's every character, in a way, is kind of a guest character. I mean, I would say the third-party characters are more so the guest characters. But even then, like, just counting the third-party characters, he still had a lot of competition. And the thing is, like, Mortal Kombat is mainly a Western game, which is obviously, where Doom is made and has the bigger fan base as well. But Smash Bros, like, even though, like, I think it's popular all over the world, it's made in Japan. A majority of the characters in the game are made in Japan. I think the only exceptions are, and this is if you want to get really technical, are, like, Diddy Kong, King K. Rool, Dark Samus, Banjo Kazooie, and Minecraft Steve. I think that's really it. Everyone else is made in Japan. And unlike some of those games I mentioned, I honestly didn't really do much research in this, but I'm going to take a wild guess and say Doom is not that popular in Japan. And I understand there are some characters we had in the game that have, like, there are some characters that maybe are very popular in one part of the world and not the other. Like, for instance, Hero from Dragon Quest. I think it's safe to say he was much more popular. Dragon Quest is huge in Japan. And there is a fan base for it in America, but it is huge in Japan. Or two alternatives, like Ridley and Banjo Kazooie. Like, I would say Ridley is kind of requested in both the West and the East, but I think he was definitely more considered in the West. I think Metroid in general is just more popular in the West. And yes, Ridley is kind of a violent character like Doomslayer, but he's not a third-party character. As brutal of a monster as he is, we haven't seen him rip someone's spine out or anything like that. That would be awesome. It'd make me like Ridley even more. But that aside, and Banjo and Kazooie, like, well, it's funny because they were kind of announced the same time Hero was, and I feel like Hero was kind of meant to appeal to Japan, and Banjo Kazooie is purely meant to appeal to America. However, the thing with Banjo Kazooie, like, yes, they are third party. Yes, they're owned by Microsoft. I'm pretty sure Sakurai has wanted Banjo Kazooie in Smash Bros. For a long time, and they are very Nintendo associated. Doom is a little more. It doesn't really have, I think, a super strong association to any of the consoles. If anything, probably more PC, to be honest. And unlike Doom, Banjo Kazooie is not a very violent game. But that kind of brings me to my next point with Doomslayer, and this was kind of one of the biggest criticisms of being in Smash Bros. That he is just too damn violent, as well as his game. And another problem is that, some of the guns he uses, not all of them, are very realistic weaponry. And I know Sakurai has expressed in the past that he doesn't want characters using realistic weaponry that aren't like explosive rockets, like Snake's Nikita launcher, or his Nikita, or his rocket launcher, for instance. Now I know it's like, yeah, you got Joker from Persona 5. However, this is really only if you know Persona 5. The guns that Joker uses actually are prop guns. However, when he goes in the metaverse, you can basically kind of will something to kind of change matter. So they kind of willed their guns to actually have, real bullets in them when they're in the metaverse. So I guess the idea is that, Joker in Smash Ultimate, he's kind of always in the metaverse. But you can't really make that argument for Doomslayer. Not to mention, one of his best weapons, his most iconic weapons, is the Super Shotgun. And That is literally a super realistic double-barreled shotgun. It just has a hook. It has a grapple hook on it. So, and like, yes, I personally think he could have still had a great moveset even without like ripping and tearing people apart. But I know how Sakurai is. He kind of wants to represent the character very closely how they are the source material, which I definitely respect. Don't get me wrong. I still think they could have worked around it. That's just how they are. And again, I get it. And like, yeah, I know you have Bayonetta, you have Snake, you have Joker, but you don't really see them. Oh, okay, Bayonetta does like do those torture attacks on angels, but I think a lot of their arsenal does have things where you kind of get away with like not really doing super violent things. Not to mention, but like Bayonetta's torture attacks were kind of optional, I feel like, for the most part. I mean, I guess you could argue the glory kills and Doom are optional, but like you're making the game a lot harder if you don't do glory kills, especially in Doom Eternal. But I think the other problem is, like going back to kind of the competition, like he was requested. I think there was a lot of other characters in front of him. Like, I mean, let's look at some of the DLC characters. Like, all right, maybe not the first season as much, because I feel like there were, some more, well, they both had left field ones, but, the second pack, we'll look at that. Like, so, all right, Minwoo was a first party character. We're not going to count her. Minecraft Steve, as much as I really didn't want him in the game, Minecraft is a huge worldwide phenomenon. He's a pretty unique character, so it's like, as much as I hate to admit it, it's like he makes more sense than Doomslayer being in it. Sephiroth, yes, he may not have been as requested, but he's a very iconic villain, and he's probably more, no, I'm not even going to say probably, he is probably more overall popular in the world than Doomslayer is, just because of Japan. Like, if you ask someone in Japan who Sephiroth is, they'll probably know. If you ask someone who Doomslayer is in Japan, less likely. And again, I'm not like, this isn't 100% fact, this is just kind of my impression of what I've seen of kind of the Doom fan base. It is a primarily Western fan base. And again, the other thing too is first-person shooters aren't even that popular in the East as well. You got to consider, maybe with some exceptions here and there. Kazuya, I mean, Bandai Namco worked on the game, and Tekken is a huge series. It's big and big kind of everywhere. Sakurai already wanted Heihachi in the game, so yeah, we were probably going to attack a character at some point. And I am glad it was Kazuya. And then Sora was confirmed to be the most requested, I guess, well, at least video game character on the ballot that they had back in the Smash 4 days. So it's like he was just more requested than Doomslayer, as much as I hate to admit it, because I, as huge of a Kingdom Hearts fan as I am, I personally wanted Doomslayer much more as well. And I guess this is why, after all, this is why he kind of got a Mii Fighter outfit, because he was a requested character, but there was just more requested characters than him, and they wouldn't have to worry about all like the gore and that kind of all that baggage that I guess kind of Doom unfortunately carries, because for those that don't know, Doom is associated with certain unfortunate events that have happened kind of in like the I guess kind of the 90s, early 2000s, with like school shootings. So there is all of that. It's unfortunate that that has to happen, but it is what it is. And this might also be why I kind of thought this was weird. It's Doom Eternal Doomslayer, but he has the pistol, which he doesn't even have in Doom Eternal. And I think this is because the pistol is, first of all, it's not a huge weapon that they're able to kind of put on the Mii Fighter model, but it's also not super realistic. That pistol, unlike kind of the more classic Doom pistols, was a lot more sci-fi-ish. But yeah, I think this is kind of the two reasons why he couldn't get in Smash and Mortal Kombat 11.
Hey, so I kind of figured with this video, just because it was going a little longer than I thought, just kind of split into two videos. So the second part of this video, I'm going to talk about what games I think Doomslayer could appear in as a guest fighter. But for now, I hope you like this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, why you think Doomslayer has had kind of rough luck getting in, I guess recent fighting games with kind of Doom's more resurged popularity and relevance. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Maybe I'm totally wrong about this, but if you like the video, feel free to hit the like button. If you dislike it, you can dislike it as well. If you'd like this video and some of my other videos, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. It helped me out a lot. I also have a Patreon. You can, if you want to contribute to that, that'd be amazing. I also have a Discord if you want to kind of join our Discord in the description below. And as I always say, in a time and a place, keep being awesome.